Boom! Chris collapsed instantly. We were preparing for our hunting trip when the wild boar charged like a raging storm. Everything hit us out of nowhere. Before we could catch our breath, the hunt had already begun. There was no room for hesitation this time, because every second of delay could cost a life. Chris was taken back to the village. Our team quickly geared up. Motorboats, binoculars, compasses, guns. For the battle ahead, a battle on the water. All of it for our friend, and for the safety of the village. Today's hunting grounds were the water canals near the village, but we weren't after fish this time. We were hunting wild boars. Believe it or not, these boars had come here to bathe and escape the heat. The danger was so close, making this hunt even more intense. Our boat moved quietly through the calm water, the air still. Nobody spoke much, holding our breath, staying alert. And there it was, one dark shape floating peacefully in the cool water, completely unaware of the price it would soon pay. I locked my sights on the target. Holding my breath, I squeezed the trigger. The boar darted, but it was already too late. The perfect shot took it down. It was a shot worthy of a perfect score. But that was just the opening shot. The real hunt was just getting started. The chaos of gunfire quickly alerted the rest of the herd. They broke free from the canal and took cover in the sparse trees nearby. From where we were, the large dark shapes came into view, a clever hiding tactic, but too bad for them, they'd run into us. Edged closer, finding the perfect angle to strike. Boom! Our team fired in unison. The lead boar was brought down in an instant. The herd scattered in panic. We couldn't let them get away. Plan B kicked in immediately, closing in on them, finishing the job. Soon, we intercepted the herd, taking down several more shadowy figures. A clear message sent to anyone who dares to destroy. We pushed on, moving further down the canal. Another sluggish shape appeared, quickly becoming a target. We moved in carefully, closing the distance. I wanted to maximize our chances. Suddenly, the boar sensed the danger and tried to flee up the bank. No choice but to strike. I pulled the trigger fast. The boar dropped instantly. No escape. Once you cross into our territory, you pay the price. The sun was getting hotter. We continued down the river, searching for shaded areas, ideal hiding spots for the boars. The next challenge was sniping from a distance. A splash of water could send the prey running. The boar appeared. I aimed, locked the target. There was no room for error. Boom! The shot rang out, taking the boar down instantly. It seemed easy, but without precise aim, failure was a real threat. Seeing how slow this method was, we switched to Plan C. The hunting dogs were released, flushing the boars toward us. The sound of barking echoed through the air, drawing our team's attention. We closed in fast. A volley of shots rang out, and the boar was brought down in the blink of an eye. In the afternoon, Kevin had managed to get a boat, and our hunting area expanded. The river was now our hunting ground. Our boat zipped through the water, determined not to let any target escape. The engine's sound startled the boars. One tried to make a break for it, hiding among the thick reeds. My heart raced, focused on the barrel of my gun. It wasn't going anywhere. I squeezed the trigger. Headshot. The boar dropped, immobilized. A dramatic chase. Thrilling, right? Let us know in the comments if you felt a rush. As we began to tire and the sun started to set, we prepared to return to the village. But you know what? Wild boars can show up when you least expect them. Always stay alert. Suddenly, a dark shape shot past us. We closed in quickly, trapping the target. With the speed of our boat, there was no chance for escape. We fired. A burst of bullets tore through the air, and the boar tried to flee from the grip of death. But in the end, it fell to the barrel of our guns, wrapping up a long and challenging day of hunting.
The wild boar population in the US has skyrocketed to nearly 10 million this year, according to the US Department of Agriculture, USDA. Texas has been hit the hardest, accounting for 1/3 of the total boar population in the country. These creatures are incredibly elusive, often hiding in dense forests along the edges of fields, making hunting extremely difficult. Despite facing numerous challenges and dangers ahead, we pressed on into the battlefield to deal with the ever-growing, uncontrollable wild boar numbers. Beneath the faint light filtering through the canopy, casting its glow on the dense forest like a veil, we knew we were walking into a battle of endurance and resolve, one that would test us to our limits. Before the sun had even risen, the whole team was already on the vehicle, heading to the hunting location. Once we arrived, we began weaving our way into the dense forest, where the thick trees and tangled vines made every step a careful one. Suddenly, the sound of the hunting dogs echoed not far from me. Without hesitation, I grabbed my rifle and sprinted toward the source of the sound. There it was, the wild boar. But I couldn't shoot yet. I carefully moved closer, looking for the perfect angle. And then, boom! The shot was fired swiftly, bringing the beast down helplessly. A clean and efficient takedown. Well deserved for the team's effort since the early hours of the morning. The silence suddenly became eerie, lasting for 15 minutes before it was broken by the frantic barking of the hunting dogs from the east side of the forest. "There's something over there," I whispered to myself as I raised my rifle. Right in front of me, the dogs had skillfully cornered and trapped a massive wild boar. I aimed carefully, squeezing the trigger decisively. There was no escape left for it. It was now caught in the grip of the dogs. An outstanding shot. In just a few short seconds, the intense confrontation was over. It felt as though I had just been through a true life or death struggle. The dense terrain like this is a huge advantage for wild boars to hide and escape, but this time we weren't alone. The well-trained hunting dogs were always on alert, assisting in tracking every step. Spotting the target amidst the thick vines, the shot rang out, the smell of gunpowder mixing with the damp earth. One more beast down. It was no challenge to successfully make the shot at such a close range. After a brief rest to regain our strength, the team quickly got back into rhythm, continuing the pursuit through the challenging forest. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed faintly from afar. I immediately raised my binoculars, scanning the trees and the tall grass. Soon enough, a wild boar appeared silently. I stayed calm, slowly raising my rifle. The air grew tense, taut like a bowstring. The silence was suffocating. Then, the fateful moment came. The trigger was pulled, and the blast shattered the stillness. A perfect shot ended the intense standoff with precision. As we spread out to track the prey individually, I suddenly heard the hunting dogs barking, their sound growing louder by the second. Instinctively, I aimed and squeezed the trigger, but this creature wasn't easily subdued. With its massive size and tremendous strength, it fought to break free. No matter how stubborn it was, the beast couldn't escape the fate that had been sealed. Sun had set, and the air was cool and refreshing. I happened to spot a dense thicket, exactly the type of terrain where wild boars often hide. Just as expected, a wild boar was curled up inside, surrounded by the hunting dogs. Without hesitation, I squeezed the trigger. Shot was precise, and it seemed that today, luck was truly on our side. This victory wasn't just the result of skill, experience, and sharp strategy, but also a testament to and will, creating an unmatched power.
The lush green fields now bear only the scars of destruction caused by rampaging wild boars. Multiplying rapidly, they swarm down, devastating the crops. Upon receiving reports, the hunters immediately set out, determined to halt this destruction. Can they stop the beasts and restore peace to the fields? Follow the thrilling moments ahead to find out. The French grasslands are becoming a hotspot as ferocious beast herds wreak havoc. Thomas's hunting team swiftly moves in, kicking off a thrilling pursuit. Just minutes later, a shooter spots the wild boar herd charging past, seeking refuge in the dense forest on the other side. Without hesitation, he pulls the trigger, and the second boar collapses instantly in the green grass. The rest scatter in panic, hiding before the next shot can ring out. The battle has officially begun. Continuing to track the remaining wild boars, Thomas keenly observed every thicket ahead. Suddenly, a shot from his teammate rang out, and a boar burst forward. Not letting it escape, the decisive shot immediately echoed, cutting off the animal's path to freedom. At another location, the barking of hunting dogs signaled the prey's position. The shooter immediately rushed forward, ready to engage. At that moment, a wild boar charged across his line of sight. Without a moment's hesitation, a gunshot rang out instantly. The bullet struck directly into the animal's body, causing it to collapse onto the thick grass, unable to escape. At the same time, a night hunt was unfolding in the Texas fields. Kevin's team had arrived early, surrounding an area suspected of harboring wild boar tracks. At the edge of the field, through binoculars, a shooter spotted the boar herd charging down, wreaking havoc. Unable to stand by any longer, gunfire erupted in rapid succession. Several boars were taken down on the spot, their bodies scattered across the field, with only a few managing to escape into the thickets. At the eastern edge of the field, the three remaining wild boars were trying to slip away, but they couldn't evade Jack's infrared scope. Without a second's hesitation, the next series of shots rang out, swift, clean, and precise. They collapsed on the spot, unable to escape, leaving only their scattered remains across the field. Another threat was eradicated. The radio crackled with signals pinpointing the locations of other wild boar herds. Kevin and his team swiftly moved in. The boars were busy grazing, unaware of the ambush awaiting them. Without delay, gunfire erupted, sweeping through the beasts in rapid bursts, leaving them no chance to escape. The Texas field was now littered with the remains of the destructive pests. Peace had been restored. The destructive wild boars are ravaging crops and invading forests in Russia, but the steel marksmen are ready to confront them. Every bullet, every breathless moment is captured vividly, keeping you from looking away. Don't miss it. Watch until the end to witness the most thrilling hunt. Which hunter do you think will take down the most impressive prey? Let's find out right now. The breathless ambush in Chelyabinsk marked the beginning of a brutal battle. John's team moved quietly in their familiar vehicle, quickly entering the forest according to the prearranged plan. A few minutes later, among the trees, a dark figure flashed across John's scope. John got into a ready position, his eyes tracking every movement of the beast. When the moment came, a sharp gunshot rang out, cutting off all attempts of the wild boar to escape. Inside the forest, bursts of gunfire also echoed one after another, signaling that more targets were being taken down. The hunt in Chelyabinsk had officially begun. James was lying in ambush in silence, waiting for the target to appear. Suddenly, from a distance, a herd of wild boars came charging in front, running in a line across his line of sight. A series of gunshots rang out, taking down the lead boar, but the rest ran too fast and disappeared into the deep forest. Not giving the beasts a chance to escape, James immediately determined their direction and reported the position to his teammates via radio. Right after that, they quickly moved in on the marked location. One member of the team spotted a large, heavy wild boar hiding among the dense trees. Without delay, a gunshot rang out, taking down the boar. Gunfire erupted from all directions. The remaining ones were also taken down one by one. Hunting in the dense forest was already a challenge, but upon reaching the snowy region of Kaluga, everything became even more unforgiving. Thomas's team didn't hesitate. They spread out, surrounding the fields and snowy forest, ready for a life or death battle. At Leon's position, a wild boar suddenly charged out from the forest. Not letting it escape, he pulled the trigger, taking it down with a single shot. But right after, other dark shapes suddenly darted past, leaving Leon no time to react. As soon as he received the signal that the boars had escaped, Thomas immediately used a tracking device to follow their traces. Not long after, a wild boar was found hiding among thick branches. Thomas quickly closed in, then pulled the trigger. The shot rang out decisively, and the boar collapsed on the spot. Another precise shot, another victory marked on the icy Kaluga. Wild boars, monstrous beasts weighing up to 300 pounds with razor-sharp tusks. They tear through pastures, attack people and livestock, and cause millions of dollars in damage each year. Traps and fences are useless against these relentless invaders. There's only one way to stop them: hunt them down right to their lairs in the treacherous swamps. And only the toughest hunters dare to face them head-on. So who will survive this brutal battle? Follow the heart-pounding pursuit right now. This hunt is more dangerous than ever. We're venturing deep into the territory of these beasts where they hide skillfully in the dense forest. To avoid ambush, we've brought along a pack of well-trained hunting dogs. They track swiftly and alert us the moment prey is near. In this mission, our dogs are not just trackers, they're our eyes. our ears, and our first line of defense. Today, I'm heading into a particularly treacherous area with Bernie, where towering grass provides perfect cover for wild boars. The team split up and moved into our assigned positions. After just 10 minutes of searching, the hunting dogs began barking furiously inside the thicket. We locked our eyes on the direction of the noise, tracking every movement. Suddenly, a massive wild boar burst out of the grass, charging straight toward Bernie. Wasting no time, we took our shot. The shots rang out in rapid succession, and the boar collapsed into the tall grass. After that breathless skirmish, we quickly moved on to track the next targets. In the distance, the figures of wild boars emerged, slowly roaming through thick patches of grass in search of food. We didn't fire right away. Instead, we hid carefully in the bushes, waiting for them to come closer. Then, gunshots rang out across the swamp. Each one was swift and accurate, taking down the ferocious beast. This place is a true haven for wild boars, with an abundance of food all around. Just 15 minutes in, Silas had already spotted his target. It burst out from the towering reeds, but quickly collapsed, unable to escape after Silas's precise shot. We picked a good vantage point and used binoculars to scout the area there. They were a herd of wild boars foraging on the forest floor, completely unaware of what they approached. Perfect shot. A thunderous bang echoed, and one boar dropped instantly. The rest scattered in panic, fleeing into the brush. Deep within the stillness of the palm thickets, Bernie was quietly tracking a separate target. The boar emerged from behind a palm. Trunk Bernie raised his rifle, took careful aim, and pulled the trigger. Perfect. A precise shot, the boar collapsed on the spot, without a chance to react. One shot was all it took to bring it down. The swamp terrain here is truly treacherous, riddled with dangers we usually try to avoid.